less likely that I will, because you're talking about $1 billion or $1.5 billion, and
well, you got it.
I do have it. All I have to do is sell a building, but I think that probably I'm not looking for myself. I'm looking for the party, where the party is going to receive a lot of money, so the party can compete.
Donald Trump again trying to reunify the Republican Party, and a way he can do that is with campaign financing. Now, you heard him there, and we've heard him on the stump saying, look, I got money. I don't need to fund my campaign. But the general election, as we just heard him say, is a different animal. Maybe he'll sell a building, but then, of course, today, the news that an agreement has been worked out involving the RNC and the Trump campaign to attract some major donors. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined from Newsmax Washington by the conservative strategist and the host of the program you see here each Saturday on Newsmax TV. It's called Behind the Curtain, but Jack Burkman steps out in front of the curtain to join us tonight. So Jack, take us back behind the curtain. Tell us about the deal that Trump has made with the RNC.
Well, a couple things. First of all, let me make some news for you, JD. I'll break some news. I'll give you a JD Newsmax exclusive that I didn't even break on my own show, which is already taped for this week. On June 1st, I will host at my home with my wife the first ever Donald Trump lobbyist fundraiser. June 1st. So we'll break some news. We'll make some news right on the show. So the first one is coming. The deal with the RNC, I don't think there's anything too terribly dramatic. I think Paul Ryan is reluctantly coming into play. I think Priebus is coming into play. I think Priebus has already activated the full RNC fundraising machine. The reality is that Priebus doesn't want to go down in history as the chairman who presided over the dissolution of the RNC. And I think he almost did.
Well, let me talk to you about the news you just broke mere seconds ago, that you're going to host, and you use the term, the first lobbyist fundraiser for Donald Trump.
Yes.
Now, I guarantee you, the tape machines are running in the Democratic headquarters, because you know what happens, right? They'll take the footage of Trump on the stump saying, look, I don't need the lobbyist, I don't need it. And what do you tell a Trump supporter who is leery of lobbyists and Washington dough?
I would tell the whole country, look, we all have to get realistic. Sure, Trump in the primary said he was not a man bought and paid for. Donald Trump is not a man bought and paid for. I support him. He's a very independent man. He's probably the most independent man in American politics in decades. The reality is, though, he's not worth $10 billion. That includes his brand. He's probably worth $3 or $4 billion at the most. If he had to come up with $1 billion he would need for the general election, he couldn't just sell a building, as he said. He'd probably have to liquidate a lot of different minority positions in New York real estate, which is very difficult. It involves partners. It might be hard for him to come up with $1 billion cash, JD. So the reality is it would be tough for him. He's going to have to raise money to be competitive with Hillary Clinton, who's got the fundraising machine better than Mitt Romney, and that's almost impossible. He's got to build an army. He's got to build one of these pyramid-style things where you got one fundraiser and 10 under that, and 100 under that, and 1,000 under that, just the way Romney and Hillary did it, and Obama does it. And I think he's going to do that.
Well, it might be better to say commonly accepted fundraising practices. Nothing that's hanky-panky.
Right,
everything that's reported vis-a-vis the Federal Election Commission. Let me do this, Jack. Let's take a phone call because joining us now at 1-877-NEWSMAX is Barbara in Hurst, Texas. And Barbara, let me put the question to you. The fact that Trump will raise money, and yes, help the RNC, but he'll raise money including funds from lobbyists. Does that trouble you? Barbara,
Trump is owned by nobody. Anybody that has brains is going to help push him forward to beat Hillary. So our Congress is kept a Republican Congress, or conservatives, let me say conservatives, but it doesn't bother me at all. It's expected. We all expect it. All of Trump's supporters know that he needs to raise money, but he will not be bought or owned by anyone.
So you are absolutely happy with him, and you think this is just part of politics?
It is part of politics, but I mean, if you want to see his direction, look at the 11 that he put out today.
That's
I mean,
right.
that tells you where he is. He is nothing but for the United States and its people all the way down the line. Is he a little bit different?
Exactly
Is
right.
he a little bit boisterous? Yes, but that's what we love about him.
Well, Jack, you wanted to weigh in with what Barbara had to say. Go ahead and react, Jack.
Barbara's right on the money. I just don't think anybody could ever accuse Donald Trump of corruption or special interest or anything like that. He will be the least beholden man to ever come into the presidency. And the fact that he has to pivot and get away from the promise that he wouldn't take campaign contributions and this and that, show me a candidate who hasn't done some kind of pivot in the general election. I hardly think that Hillary has much room to complain about her opponent pivoting when her positions change every 36 hours.
Well, let's talk about another pivot, a welcome pivot in the Trump camp, because it has to do with polling numbers. A new poll released by Fox News earlier this evening has it like this. Now Donald Trump ahead of Hillary Clinton, 44% to 42%. I don't have the margin of error on this. Presumably it's within the margin of error, but it shows that things apparently are changing. Add to that the unfavorability rating of Hillary Clinton, where her numbers are in the 60s in terms of unfavorability. This has to be good news for the Trump campaign tonight, Jack.
Oh, it's very good news. I mean, if you go back only a month, even the Fox poll had him 5 to 7 down, and that's the Fox poll. Now, this one today is registered voters. I still want to see likely voters, but it's good news. It's very good news. What we have to look at, though, the 3 key states. I'm going to give you 3 states to remember, JD. You can test me as a prognosticator. Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Virginia, especially important. I'm worried about Terry McAuliffe there as the governor. Pennsylvania and Michigan, those are states that have been out of play, but I think Trump can bring them back into play. But those 3 states, keep them in mind.
Well, funny you should mention Pennsylvania, Jack. Perhaps it shows your clairvoyance, because on the phone from Shikshini, Pennsylvania is Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
I'm fine, JD. I have no problems with Donald taking contributions because the rest of them are doing it, and I feel that he's entitled, and what people ought to take into consideration when they criticize him, he's a work in progress. He's a work in progress. And when you see photographs of his family and his children, you know, they're a product of their environment. And they look like very pleasant people. And that says a lot.
It does, and you've said a lot, Suzanne. You know, the old expression used to be, will it play in Peoria? We can change that now. Can we sell it in Shikshini? And Suzanne, you say we can, or you say Mr. Trump can, and it's interesting to see just really the Trump brand, Jack Burkman, continue to rise. And, you know, we talked about Ronald Reagan. He was criticized as, quote, Teflon president. But it would seem that Donald Trump, everything designed to hurt him. Take, for example, last weekend's hit job in the New York Times. Doesn't seem to have a problem. In fact, why don't we listen to Ivanka Trump from CBS This Morning speaking out on that subject?
They had such a strong thesis and created facts to reinforce it. And, you know, I think that narrative has been playing out now, and there's backlash in that regard. Look, I'm not in every interaction my father has, but he's not a groper. It's not who he is. And I've known my father, obviously, my whole life, and he has total respect for women. He was promoting women in development and construction at a time when it was unheard of.
And we have had some of those women appear with us on Newsmax TV. So here's the thing, Jack. There's been some talk that when the Times went out to do this hit job, it just played into Trump's hands. Do you think that's the case? We got about a minute left.
I do, because Trump is like a brilliant wrestler. He flips them around. He flipped the issue, and right away he turned the tables and he put it right back on Hillary and said, you are the enabler that allowed this guy. And remember, Bill Clinton's been accused of everything from rape to all kinds of criminality. He lied under oath related to sex. So if he flipped the issue, he made the issue Bill Clinton. Now, in some way, she's lost the advantage on this issue. She's got to figure a way to get it back. It's going to be tough when Trump has surrogates like his daughter, Ivanka, who is smart, educated, beautiful, professional, Ivy League, and a mother. That's going to be hard to refute.
And when Donald Trump will have an event host like Jack Burkman, who is also the host of Behind the Curtain here on Newsmax TV, well, it looks like things are going the Donald's way. Hey, Jack, thanks very much for your time. We'll be watching for you on Saturday. We appreciate it very much. More of your phone calls coming up. And after the break, David Horowitz will be here, one of my favorite guys, to talk about his new book. That's all ahead as Newsmax Prime continues.